Howdy kids, and welcome to another episode of Escaping the Cave. It is the Tonzilla X Pod. Hi there, I'm your friendly, congenial, sometimes minstrel, never predictable host Todd. Hi. It's episode number 150, big one. Right? The record date on this guy is Friday, December the 20th, 2024. We are winding down 2024, 2025 is 11 days away. Boy, this year's not going quietly either, is it? Yeah, we didn't expect it to. None of us did, right? After that election. Either way, plenty coming up. We've got the news is becoming the news. Hey, the biggest story is the lack of trust therein. Lack of trust in the news, lack of trust in media institutions. There's a statistic that I'm sure you probably heard it this week. It's wonderful. CNN. We got a lot more on this coming up here in a little bit. Hang in there. But CNN, earlier this month, during the Brian Thompson shooting news cycle stuff, while all of that was dominating the headlines, CNN finished 17th. I think in prime time. They finished behind the Food Network. Immediately after that, oh, this is just rich. Clarissa Ward, did you see that? Her big story over there in Syria? Went on the air with a story saying that she had, with video, released somebody from one of Assad's dungeons. Oh, he was all, oh, thank you. It was just stunk to high hell. Wasn't who she said she was, or it was. She's an investigative journalist, a professional, world-renowned journalist, right? International correspondent. And she couldn't sniff this out. I'm a little cynical. I think it goes even worse than that. I do. We'll get to that in a couple minutes. First, the Detroit Lions. I'm going to lead every show with Detroit Lions stuff for probably for the rest of their season. Which, after that Buffalo game, they lost 4 players in that game for the season, 3 of which frontline starters. Khalil Dorsey, I think he's the second string secondary guy. Carlton Davis, gone for the year, busted jaw. That's painful. Oh, that's going to kill him. Ali McNeil had just come back. He's out for the year with a knee. Who's the other guy, the other defensive guy? They lost, let's see, McNeil, Dorsey. Carlton Davis, and then, my guy, David Montgomery. Out for the rest of the season with MCL surgery, which I do believe, I'm not a doctor, I just play one on a podcast. I do believe that's much less severe than the ACL. But he ain't coming back. Yes, sir, Jean-Denis, he is out for the year. And they're big 2 running backs. And somehow all this happened. Jared Goff threw for almost 500 yards, 495 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Put up 43? That sound right? And they lost. Because they gave up 48 to Josh Allen, the best football player in the National Football League. I had my wife's cousin over here watching the game. He brought his kids. His wife came. It was kind of a big deal. He was all decked out. He looked like a big blueberry. He's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, lives over in Kalamazoo. But he's a big Bills fan and a big Bears fan. I think he's one of those sports hipsters who just refuses to root for who everybody else. Whatever. He likes the Bills. And he kind of got me to pay a little bit closer attention to Josh Allen a couple of years ago. Man, he is so good. And you saw it on display at Ford Field last Sunday. The throws he was making on the run, the accuracy, the field vision, the mobility. Good God. They beat the Lions, I'm talking about. They beat every other team in the National Football League without Josh Allen, even despite everything that happened that day, because the Lions still put up 40 points, even without David Montgomery. They're a good damn football team, and man, you put Josh Allen on the field with a bunch of, I don't want to be too critical because it's not their fault. There were a lot of injuries. But you put Josh Allen on the field with some talent around him, in a game with a bunch of guys off the scrap heap, second, third guys, practice squad guys, that's what's going to happen. And boy, I was impressed. That game didn't bother me. He and I were both sitting here. He was happy. I was not happy about it, but it did not bother me. If you're going to lose a second, they're 12-2 for Christ's sakes. Did you really think they were going to go 16-1? And there are people in this state. I have to bite my tongue sometimes. See, I tried to do a baseball podcast once upon a time. People in this state, they like to fancy themselves as being the best sports fans in the country. The most passionate, the most honest. We're just telling it like, okay, just telling it like it is. There are people in this state who are coming down on the Lions for the injuries and for losing their second game of the year to a generational talent like Josh Allen. Face of all these injuries, it's the same old Lions. They're not going to do anything. They're terrible. Oh my God, they needed it. Blah, 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 blah. You saw the same bullshit after the Tigers were knocked out of the playoff. Tiger fans are like, they're completely verklempt. I love that word. I use it a lot. I just like to say it. But they're verklempt. Because the Tigers haven't gone out and matched the New York Mets with their Juan Soto signing, I guess. They're pissed off because the Tigers haven't quite given $200 million to a 31-year-old third baseman, Alex Bregman. They think they're the Lions. This state, the people, the fans in this state, they have little brother syndrome. They want so badly to be on the same level as the New York Mets and the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers. And, oh my God, Illich, he just won't spend. He's so cheap. He won't spend any of that money. And it always happens after something happens like the Soto signing. They're just negative. They're just toxic. People in the state, and this goes a little bit beyond sports. And I tell you, I'm looking in the mirror. Hi, Todd. People in this state have it's almost a hereditary toxicity to them. It's true. It's true if you come spend any time in Michigan. Ooh. Some good people. Not everybody. Again, this is how generalizations work. It's a general vibe, a general feel, a general personality for a state, a region, an area. I've noticed this. Santa Fe had it. I lived there for 4 years. Spent a year in Tucson. Tucson's crazy. Their personality is batshit. Yeah. Ooh. Even Phoenix a little bit. Denver's got its own little personality. Portland, Pacific Northwest, California, every place you go, every place you live, if you spend more than a day there or 6 hours at the airport watching Fox News on the airport television, if you do that, you will figure out that every place has its own personality. Chicago, Massachusetts had it, Florida, yee-haw, especially in the Panhandle. Michigan, people in the state, they're friendly to a point. They have an asshole gene, the toxicity gene. They do. I'm sorry. Maybe it's the winter time. It's December. It's not real sunny. Maybe it's that seasonal depression shit. I don't know. I don't think so because it bleeds in every summer too with baseball. You could have the best organization, the best team in the world. And Lions fans, you do. Right now, at this moment in time, you have the best football team on the planet. Yeah, they got injured. They had a biblical rash of injuries this year. But you've been waiting for this. You have suffered through decades and decades of ineptitude, of seeing a shitty football product on the field year after year, decade after decade. My wife's uncle, talking about this a while ago, he's a huge Lions fan, was a huge Lions fan. He was born in 1954. He died at the beginning of October. He never saw his team, the team he was passionate about, in the Super Bowl, let alone the Super Bowl. Leave that alone. He never saw them competitive for an extended period of time with an extended period of aptitude in the front office. Not when he was old enough to appreciate it. Maybe the late 50s. I guess they won a championship in the fit and never got to a Super Bowl. I don't know if he remembered Bobby Lane. Right? He never saw it. He never got a chance to see it. He passed away in early October. Boy, things are looking good. You know, it almost felt tragic. I shouldn't say that because you shouldn't dwell on it too much because we heard a lot of the same stories in Chicago about the Cubs. There were people who died at 80 years old or 90 years old. Year or two before the Cubs won the World Series, who never saw the Cubs win it. We're always fans, always passionate fans, but never saw them win it. But now here you are, Lions fans. You've got the team, you've got the organization, probably the coach, the quarterback, all of it. It's right there in front of you. It's on a platter. It's on a football buffet for you to feast upon every Sunday. And some of you have to just fall back into this toxic, poor me, oh my God, I'm such a victim. It's a curse. Calling that the same old, come on. It's like there's what's the word I'm looking for? Not heretical, I want to say hereditary need to bask and wallow in black negativity. It's an addiction. I'm a victim. The team sucks again. They're never going to give me what I want. I'm sick of it. I tried to do that podcast a few years ago. Like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm not Mr. Sunshine. I like to say that I am Mr. Warmth. I'm not. I did grow up around here. But holy shit, if I'm calling this out, if I'm seeing this, if I don't want to be around you, I don't want to have any interactions or engagements with you because of your toxicity. Me? Anyway, that's what's happening now. They're all in a panic. They're all in a tizzy. They're all... you have to stay off Twitter. You really do. You have to stay off Twitter, and you got to really watch who you interact with as far as even discussing the Lions and football in general. But that is a trait of this state. That negativity, that toxicity. You're here. If you're here, a lot of you are, pay attention to that. Just pay attention to how often people just piss and moan and bitch and complain because it's habit. Finding things to complain about. I could translate, this is an easy segue. I'm not going to take this exit ramp, but I could. Finding shit to complain about. Even when you've got a team that's 12-2, if you're doing that, you're looking for things to complain about. You need it, you're addicted to it. Maybe it's habit, just habitual. You've been doing it for decades and decades and decades, and is it that hard when you have a decent football team to not? It's amazing. Enjoy this. Why can't you enjoy one fucking loss? It was one loss to a generational Hall of Fame talent, the best player in the National Football League. Put up 48 points against a decimated, obliterated to injuries defense. and they still almost won. They were in it into the last minute of the game. Calm the hell down. Try to enjoy this. This is what you've been waiting for. It's beyond me. Anyway, yeah, we watched the game. We were here Sunday. He was dressed up, like I said, all his Bills gear. He looked like a blueberry, a big blueberry sitting in my Barca lounger over there. And he's not a gloater. He's not one of those. He's a knowledgeable, balanced football fan. He didn't gloat. I didn't cry. I was like, you know what? This guy is good. That was why I was just, my jaw, my mouth was agape and my jaw on the floor at some of those passes Josh Allen made. And then watching Jared Goff try to bring that team, try to keep that team in it, despite everything. If you're going to lose, there's no shame in losing to that guy. So Lions, I think, have the Bears this weekend outside in Chicago at Soldier Field. They are practicing. They're getting some reinforcements back. I think I said that last week too. Yeah. 2 games on the road, Chicago and then San Francisco. Not the same San Francisco team they were a year ago. This ought to be a win out there. No Christian McCaffrey. And then that game, the last game of the season, my friend Brian, if you're listening, Brian, I'm jealous as shit. I don't care if you are sitting in the nosebleeds. You got tickets to that game. It's going to be huge. Well done. Well done. I doff my cap to thee. I can't because I got headphones on. But if I didn't have the headphones on, I would doff my cap. And how insane is this team's 12-2, 11 straight wins, and they still don't have the division locked up. They still don't have the number 1 seed locked up because everybody else, including the Philadelphia Eagles, the terrifying Philadelphia Eagles, are playing out of their freaking minds. Football. I was never a huge football fan. Boy, I'm becoming one. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing I did last week. We're just going to have a football episode. I'm going to title it Calm the F Down, Lions Fans. And I'm just going to start anew with number 151. I may do that tonight. Look for it later today or at least this weekend. I do have it lined up. Going to be talking about drones. Going to be talking about the ABC settlement. Woohoo! George Stephanopoulos, you idiot. The Des Moines Register lawsuit that's forthcoming. CNN, I'll get more into that. I talked about it to the outset of this one. There's a Daily Scroll article over on Substack talking about the COVID lab leak stuff. That's interesting. We're going to tie all this in with a lot more on the Clarissa Ward thing as well. The trust in media institutions, it's cratering. It's to the point where there is almost none. They are now, if not irrelevant, they're on the verge of becoming it. I don't know what to think about this. I feel like I'm getting into it. I don't want to right now. But that's going to be the meat of the podcast. Going to talk about the school shooting out there in Wisconsin. Musk derangement syndrome's in high gear again. R.E. Trump, and a few other things. So, thanks for clicking in. We'll talk to you next time. So long.